welcome to my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness, and to Werewolves and the Dogmen. As a researcher in the cryptozoology field, a question I am often asked is, are dogmen and werewolves the same, or are they different? Seems like a fairly simple question. Interestingly enough, the answer is far more intricate than most would think. If we look at the origins of werewolf lore, most, if not all, can be traced back to Europe, though truthfully, no one readily knows exactly where or when it began. But to the knowledge of most, the werewolf myth began to arise in the Middle Ages in the context of Christianization, and interpreted in pre-Christian mythology in Christian terms, werewolves, often referred to as lycanthropes, were depicted as men or women who were doomed to change into a beast either through self-affliction or through curses. More often than not, they are depicted as savage, feral, bloodthirst monsters who feast upon humans. Other and even earlier werewolf tales date back to Greek mythology in the form of Lycaon, the son of Pelasgus, whom enraged the god Zeus, and as punishment saw himself and his sons transformed into wolves as punishment for feasting upon the sacrificial remains of a young boy. With so many spins placed upon the mythos, it's no wonder that everyone is both thrilled and baffled by werewolves. But do werewolves truly exist? Albeit a different form, it's possible. I know. Right about now, you are scoffing at the possibility of such an outlandish thought, but hear me out. People are indeed seeing large bipedal canine-like beings, myself included. Often enough, these descriptions rarely, if at all, differ from the imagery of werewolves set into our minds. The fangs, the bodies covered in fur, the glowing eyes, and at times, even the ferocity that Hollywood and other sources have instilled into us in terms of werewolf behavior. Of course, I am speaking of the dogman, the upright canine species made popular by the sightings of the Beast of Bray Road. In depiction and in behavior, dogman and werewolves seem to differ very little from one another, and in some cases have even been seen wielding weapons and wearing human clothing. Case in point, the werewolf of Defiant, Ohio. On July 25th of 1972, Ted Davis, a railroad worker, was on the Norfolk and Western train lines. Davis claimed to have seen a wolf-like creature that was at least 6 feet tall in height. Allegedly, this creature was carrying a large wooden board with which the creature attacked Davis. The witness believed that this attack was pre-planned. Fascinatingly, some reports of this werewolf depicted the creature as wearing jeans. As reports flooded in, residents were set on high alert, but eventually the sightings dwindled and the werewolf was never seen again. Of course, this could be the works of a prankster. It's amazing what a cheap costume and mask can achieve, especially when one plays the part in just the right fashion. It isn't often that we researchers hear of dogman wearing clothes, as the residents of Defiance, Ohio claimed this cryptid had. With that out of the way, let's examine how the werewolves might have transplanted themselves from European legend into our own backyard. It is believed by some studies that until recently, a land bridge between Europe and America existed. Now, if this is indeed true, is it possible that these werewolves ventured over this bridge only to arrive in the wilderness of America? It's possible. Now let's take a closer look at the two. From my own research, I do not believe that dogman or dogwomen ever alter form. They do not change from a man to a beast upon a full moon. They do not sprout fangs and fur when their thirst for blood becomes uncontrollable. And with that belief in mind, could it also be possible that early Europeans glimpsed what we now call a dogman and assumed, by the means of superstition, that it was once a man? Absolutely. With no basis to build off of, it's all too easy to see how an upright creature would be falsely assumed to be human in origin. If this is indeed the case, then those upright canines spotted in France, Germany, and numerous other countries may have very well their way here. Though it is absolutely impossible for anyone to state their opinion as fact, this does give us a bit more to think about, not only pertaining to the reality of Dogman, but it might also hold a clue as to how long they have been around. As we all know, other cryptids, such as Sasquatch and even Ogopogo, have their own place in the legends and traditions of indigenous people the world over. Each tribe has its own name for Sasquatch. So possibly, though we've yet to truly hear it, these same oral traditions include Dogman, or at least some equivalent. Werewolves. Stories about werewolves, sometimes known as lycanthropes, have a long history in European folklore, originating in the classical eras of Greece and Rome. As per the groundbreaking publication, The Book of Werewolves, 1865, by Dr. Sabine Baring-Gould, the Old English terms wer, meaning man, and wolf, meaning wolf, are the origin of the name werewolf. According to these stories, a werewolf is usually a human who chooses to change into a wolf, either on their own volition or as a result of a curse or other ailment. Literature and film in the 20th century popularized this theme, often associating this metamorphosis with the full moon. Folklore is rife with magical justifications for werewolf transformations. According to many myths, people might turn into werewolves by drinking a potion made from specific plants or donning a magical wolf pelt. For some, the metamorphosis is the result of a witch or other supernatural entity cursing them. For instance, a supernatural curse turns a knight into a wolf in Marie de France's poem Bisclavre from the 12th century. These magical components, which highlight the transformation's supernatural and frequently unpredictable nature, are a reflection of society's anxieties about the unknown and unpredictable parts of human nature. On the other side, scientific explanations aim to make sense of werewolf myths by applying contemporary psychology and medicine. Some scientists and historians speculate that werewolf beliefs may have originated from diseases like rabies or hypertrichosis, which cause excessive hair growth. Hypertrichosis, sometimes referred to as werewolf syndrome, is a condition in which people develop thick hair all over their bodies, possibly giving the impression that they are werewolves. Rabies, a virus that spreads through bites and incites aggressive behavior, may have influenced stories of violent metamorphoses. These scientific hypotheses aim to demystify the werewolf phenomenon, which is based on visible medical issues. Characters depict conventional werewolves as either fully transforming into wolves or adopting a hybrid form that combines elements of both human and wolf characteristics. Well, that was rude. Contemporary depictions more frequently feature the hybrid form, characterized by a furry humanoid body, a wolf-like head, pointed claws, and fangs. Usually excruciating and uncontrollable, this metamorphosis adds to the anguish and tragedy of the werewolf's existence. For instance, Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1897, portrays the character's transformation into a wolf-like beast as both horrifying and melancholic, emphasizing the loss of human identity. Dogmen. On the other hand, dogmen are a relatively recent phenomenon, primarily associated with cryptid mythology in North America. In contrast to werewolves, dogmen are depicted as erect dogs that never change into wolves. Rather, they are humans that change into wolves on a constant basis. Numerous eyewitness reports and cryptozoological studies have popularized dogmen sightings, originating from Native American traditions. In the 2003 book, The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf, Linda S. Godfrey gives in-depth testimonies of her experiences and sightings of dogmen throughout the American Midwest. These animals are typically characterized as having a canine head, sharp claws, a muscular human-like body coated in fur, and standing on two legs. Dogmen typically portray themselves as less human and more physically formidable than werewolves. People often associate dogmen with forests and rural locations, asserting that they exhibit both animalistic and sentient tendencies. In contrast to the tragic and doomed character of werewolves, most depictions of dogmen portray them as natural wilderness creatures without a human alter ego. This portrays them as elusive predators, not tortured souls, endowing them with an aura of mystery and primordial horror. For instance, witnesses recount numerous instances where witnesses experience a wave of dread and terror upon encountering a dogman, underscoring their role as guardians of the wild. The differences between a werewolf and a dogman. When they shift, werewolves frequently act out of an insatiable need to hunt and murder, which gives rise to stories of deadly rampages and the ethical quandaries faced by their human counterparts. Dogmen, on the other hand, are typically characterized as being more elusive and less hostile toward people. However, glimpses of them frequently evoke feelings of dread and apprehension. In Cryptozoology A to Z, 1999, cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman writes that dogmen are considered to be territorial animals that don't usually act as violently as werewolves do. However, they could become aggressive if they feel threatened. Werewolves have been a cultural mainstay of horror literature and film for more than a century, representing the conflict between civilization and barbarism, as well as the dual nature of humanity. People have seen them as symbolic representations of various anxieties and fears, ranging from illness and mental illness to puberty and sexual awakening. On the other hand, dogmen hold a unique position in popular culture, frequently appearing in horror films, urban legends, and documentaries on cryptozoology. They depict a more primitive fear of the wild and the limits between human civilization and nature, which resonates with the modern fascination with enigmatic creatures and the unknown. In conclusion, despite having some outward resemblance to other wolf-like species, werewolves and dogmen differ greatly in terms of their ancestry, physical characteristics, mannerisms, and social positions. Werewolves, cursed to transform into wolves, symbolize the struggle between bestiality and humanity. The fact that people frequently attribute their metamorphosis to scientific phenomena or supernatural curses further complicates it. Dogmen, on the other hand, are enigmatic beings that exist apart from human alteration and represent the wild and enigmatic facets of the natural world. I would like to thank you for joining me here today on my channel. Enlightenment in the Darkness, please comment below your thoughts about the dogmen and werewolf folklore inquiring minds would like to know. Please like and subscribe so I may continue to bring you more interesting content. Many blessings to the rest of your day.